Welcome in. It is day 310, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going over a card game. It's one that I played a few times during our COVID days back on Board Game Arena. The game is called Fleet. Now, the idea of Fleet is that it is up in New England, and you are trying to amass a fleet of ships to go out and fish. So, in order to do this, you're going through a few different steps. You basically have a hand of cards. These cards will be different ships. They'll have a cost in order to put them out, or they'll have a number of coins they're worth in order to use them as payment. They also will have victory points on them. So, those are your starting cards. Then you're going to be putting 4 licenses out on the board. That'll be shuffled and put out at random. Whoever is the player that's in charge, they will pick a license and it will go out for bid. It'll come with an initial starting bid spot, meaning if it says 5, you at least have to bid 5 on the first bid. You can bid higher, but you can't bid lower. Now, what these do is, you can't put a ship out unless you have a license for that ship. So until you've amassed a license, there's nothing you can do for that ship other than simply just put out more and more cards trying to gather money to get these. So you'll bid around the board until everybody is passed except one. They will pay the cost required. They have to bid only what they have, not above it. And then once they get it, they put out their license. Now, if the player who chose the license going out for bid won, you'll pass on to the next player and they'll be choosing the next license. If not, then that player picks again. You're going to keep doing this until all the licenses have been sold. Once somebody gets a license in a round, they cannot purchase a second one. So you'll get your different licenses, and then one by one the players will put out one ship that they will be putting out on that license and taking another card to act as their captain. It'll flip down, killing off all of its ability, and it's the captain of the ship. Then you'll all get paid for your one fish that goes onto your captain's ship. Now, depending on the license you have, the license will come with an ability. So your normal setup is you're going to be getting your 2 new cards, you draw 1, you discard 1. That's your basic ability here. But these might come with a, well, if you get more and more of this license, it starts to say you get 2 cards, you keep 2. You draw 3, you keep 2. You draw 3, you keep 3. Or you might have another ship that says, well, you're going to get a discount. For instance, the shrimp ship. You're going to get a discount if we have 1 shrimp license of 1 coin off of putting out a boat or putting out one of your licenses for the cost. And that's going to start decreasing with each one up until 4 licenses where you get a max of 4. You have a bunch of different setups like this. So you're going to keep doing this, and occasionally when these licenses come out, some of them are going to be pub licenses. These are going to be pubs that are basically on the coast that are going to be able to get, all the fishermen are going to be able to go there and drink. That's the concept behind it. But in general, the pub doesn't do you anything. It's just worth 10 points, which most of your licenses are only worth a max of about 4. So a 10-point hit is pretty good. When the game comes to its conclusion, you're going to be counting up a bunch of things. You're going to be looking at all of your licenses and your pubs. You're going to get all the points for those. Then you're also going to get 1 point per fish fished. Now, this is important because a boat can only hold 4 fish. So as many boats as you get out there, you're going to have a max of 4 fish. As you have more and more boats out, when you do your fishing, everybody catches a fish. But certain boats are going to give you the ability to store fish into lots, and that's what's important, is being able to pull the fish out, put them somewhere else, and now using that setup, try to amass more points. So it's an interesting game. It goes pretty quick, but why don't we jump in? Let's talk our 7 categories and see where this game lands for us. When it comes to the art, it's up to what you're into. I'm not one that's big on fishing games. I like to have 1 or 2 ocean-themed games in my collection, but I'm not big in that area. But I think that it does a good job. It sells fishing boats, fish, different types of fish, your king crabs, your shrimps, your pubs. It's all really nice card art. It's a good box art for the style. For me, it rides right along that 3 out of 5. It's acceptable. I'll give it a thumbs up. Your components. There's only 2. You can get your cards, whether it's your licenses, which are larger, or your actual small cards that represent your boats and all that. They're all great. There's no complaint. They're not going to wear. They're not going to tear. They definitely put money in this. And then there's your fish, which are just represented by small blue cubes. Now, you can get the upgraded component, which is going to be blue fish tokens. They're both wooden Both of them are good. Thumbs up. Your price. So the only issue with this, Fleet realized that it wasn't exactly hitting hard, so they actually came out with another edition of this that was the Fleet the Dice game. That seems to be quite popular. And as a result, the original Fleet the card game has kind of died off a little bit. So this is not one you're going to find easily. You might find it in 1 out of 5 board game stores. I don't think I've ever seen it in a Target or a Barnes & Noble. You will find it online, but this is just one of those ones that's a little harder to find. Price-wise, you're probably looking at this normally at $30, but because it has died down a bit and it's not one being produced anymore, there's the question of, is it going to be a little bit more expensive online? Which would be bad because since it's so limited to find in person, online is really where you're looking for this. So for me, while I think you're getting a good game at its normal cost, I think its availability and the likelihood of it being driven up in price is what's probably going to cause me to have to say thumbs down. Your difficulty. I don't recommend this for kids. I think there's a lot to pay attention to. And while I don't think they get cut out completely, I think beginners are going to have a little trouble with this one. It's definitely got a theme to it and pictures and all that. This is not like, yesterday's game in Innovation. There's a lot more invitingness to this game, but it is still a lot of words to follow. Trying to keep up with every card that is a license, giving you some kind of an ability and a growing ability, and keeping up with every boat and what you can do with them. So for me, I think that those two people are kind of lost. But you're getting your experience, you're getting your expert, and that's enough for me. I'll give it a thumbs up. Replayability. When we played this online, it definitely wasn't that difficult to get a couple games in a row. I think if you like the card game version, this is one that's going to be easy to get to your table. It's only going to take about 45 minutes, maybe even a little less. So I think this has some replayability. The question is, how many people really want to play this that often? I think this one is not a theme that's going to grab much. If you're looking for water, there are better water games. That being said, the closest game I can think of to this would be Salmon Run, and if given the choice of A or B, which would I choose? Probably going to go in the direction of Salmon Run. So while I don't love that game either, I just feel like this game's replayability kind of loses it a bit. Thumbs down. Keys to victory. Well, here's the big question. Not only about can you get to your license, because depending on who's the first person to be putting on a bid, what they're bidding on, your license might be the first one up that you want to grab, and everybody's bidding a lot, and you may not even have the money to get it. But even if you get the license you want, what's your plan? Are you trying to amass a bunch of one license, and then go off and amass a bunch of another license? A lot of people tend to go for the shrimp direction. Let's get the price down right off the bat, so future auctions, I can get what I want easily because I have a huge discount. It's a great idea, except usually you have to pay a lot for shrimp, so that discount kind of gets kicked out of the way when it's you spent all your money on it. Everybody else is spending half that money for the licenses they want. But you can do that attack, or you could split. You could say, let's get like one of every license, or maybe 2 of like 4 different licenses. You can try to attack this from a couple different directions. No matter what you think you want to do, you have to always remember you're limited by the boats in your hand. So if you don't have the boats to go on certain licenses, it's not even worth getting that license. So in my opinion, there are keys to victory. Thumbs up. Is the game unique? I don't think the theme is unique. I don't think the idea of your cards in your hand representing more than one thing. It's my money. No, it's the boat. No, it's the captain. Like, that's happened before. But the licensing and the way that it builds up its setup, that does seem to be a little bit unique. That being said, while I haven't played the game, I understand that Fleet the Dice game is obviously going to jump in here and do something like this as well. So it's competing a little with itself. But I feel like that's not a competitive game. That's a replacement. They were trying to make it easier. It's almost like getting a level down from this to try to be more inviting to the beginners. So for me, I actually can't think of a game that directly competes with this. I think it does hold up as unique. I'll give it a thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? It's a fun game. If you're into fishing, if you're looking for a fishing style game, this might be the one for you. Even if you're not, it's still a fun card game. There's a lot of little mechanics going on. It doesn't take too long for you to be able to enjoy it and be done. And if this was taking 20, 30 minutes longer, I might say, nah, it's too long for me to enjoy. But I think for those of us who aren't into this theme really, really big, it's great for the fact that it's pretty fast. And for that reason, I would say, don't be afraid to take a shot. But I would watch a how to play, or at least the explanation of what the game is first. Try to see if you can get some better eyes than just the pictures I'm supplying. I think a playthrough wouldn't hurt, just so you have a little bit more idea what you're looking at. And don't be afraid to check out the Fleet the Dice game as well, because it might be that you are interested in the game, but that one might land more for you than this one. Well, it has been day 310, and we've been speaking about the game Fleet. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to add this game to your collection. And don't be afraid to join me online on Board Game Arena, where I don't play it very often, but I would be willing to play this game if you wanted me to, as well as send me a friend request. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.